Hey everybody, it's Flake. I've got a little video over here. First of all, obviously, I think my hair is a little bit messed up because I went to go for a walk to go pick up some cookies and it started to rain directly on my head. So just ignore that. Nonetheless, friends, we hit rank 1 today, and my final boss, quote unquote, to get to rank 1 was a Gernichora mirror. And my mantra, my motto of bleed to succeed was sort of thrown out the window, but this was one of those matches where I was very, very happy in the outcome and how I played it. I think I played this one really, really well, and I want to sort of walk through how to play the mirror, how to play against monsters, and a little bit of explanation on the the moves I made and how we got to rank 1 with this deck in this particular match. So again, to set the stage on this game, this was the final quote-unquote boss going into rank 1. We were at rank 2 full portrait, and this was the game I needed to get into rank 1. So I'll queue it up, and I just want to let you know about some of the strategies about playing in the mirror, about bleeding versus not bleeding, and some of the strategies about playing versus Gernichora or as Gernichora. So here's the game, and I was a little bit surprised because I haven't seen much Gernichora at all. And looking at my mulligans here, as you can see, I mean, looking at this this hand over here, the first thing that pops out is, I mean, the thing about playing Gernichora is that you usually have everything you need, quote unquote. There's very few pieces that sort of fit in together. The only thing that you're really tossing away usually are duplicates of your thinning cards, or stuff like your cards like your shitty bronzes or your ghouls. So in this case, looking, I mean, I have a Plumard, I have a Drowner, but I have all 3 Crones, which is great, and I have Caldwell. So I have plenty of opportunity here to win this round, no matter what, because I have a lot of big boys, and the 3 Crones pretty much guarantee that you're going to have top dog in the pound the whole time. I've got 1 Thrive unit he can't touch, and here's the masterpiece, is I was not suspecting Geralt. I wasn't looking for him necessarily, but he's a great cherry on top. So I kind of want last say in this match because I have Geralt in the mirror. You want to be able to slam down. The first thing I do here is, as I'm weighing my options, is as the player on the play against a monsters unit, you want to establish dominance, and that's not just a mantra. It's actually a keyword. So I play the here I'm playing the Griffin first because I want to make sure that he doesn't get many of those early game dominance plays, stuff like Frost Dog, stuff like Proto Flutter, or even just dropping his Wild Hunt Riders. Now, I don't have any of those in my hand. I don't know if you can see down here, but I don't have any of my thinning plays, no Foglets and no Riders. So I'm going to have to rely on denying him the thinning as well, so we're kind of going in at the same pace. So I'm just going to keep the big dog on the board here, and my whole mantra now is to keep the tallest unit on the board, denying Caldwell on his side, at the same time protecting my own. And there's my Geralt. I'm just kind of reveling in the fact that I have one. Now, he responds with the same play, which is a typical opener. You go with a big play of an 8-point Griffin, which is fine, no big deal. But at the same time, that opens up the dominance on his side. So he can now play Riders. He could play Proto Flutter. He can play Frost Dog. No big deal. Now, what I'm going to do is easy. Just set up my Thrive units. But I'm also going to play the tack advantage now to, again, deny your opponent the dominance. Reason being, that bricks cards in his hand, possibly. Well, bricks. The Wild Hunt Rider is no longer effective, and the Proto Flutter is also no longer effective. But here you go. So you see him already trying to shave down the top dog, and that's totally fair. No big deal. Obviously, it was the only decent target on the board, but he is also right now setting up his Thrive mechanics. And I need to win this round by outpacing my opponent just on point value. Every card I play has to be better than his card when I'm playing on the blue coin. So I need to remove as many mechanics as he has to generate better points, because I have to assume that if he's playing Gernichora, we probably have a very, very similar list. So he's going to have a lot of the same stuff. Necro Warrior, I play that as well. So I got to make sure that my cards are better than his and my cards generate more points down the line. So I am pretty much playing everything I can to make his round here very, very, very inspired for him to really commit to. So I've got a 14-point lead, and he plays another Thrive unit, and this is the point where I'm thinking, okay, I think that he might be looking to commit, so I'm going to put this out of reach. I don't want to play my Caldwell late game in fear of him stealing it, so I'm going to play it early, and I do have a Cyclops in hand, so I'm going to pause this real quick. Now, the reason why you play Caldwell early in this case, I would rarely play Caldwell this early unless I had a backup plan, and in this case, my backup plan is essentially twofold. Number one, I have at the bottom over here, I have the Brewis, who can easily consume the Caldwell should it become threatened, and I also have the Cyclops that can just chuck the Caldwell back at him as well. So I have my options, but I'm still safe. Not to mention, I do have an 11-point Griffin on the board, so I'm just going to completely brick him here and show him that this is my round. I want this round. Now, my whole mantra has always been win round 1 with Gernichora and then bleed the life out of them in round 2. But in the mirror, it's completely different, but we'll get to that a little later. So he's really weighing his options here because I have a feeling that a lot of his cards that he has are dominance cards. Now, he's going to maybe chuck a card that he's not super committed to. Cards like Griffin, cards like Ice Troll, Ice Giant, these are cards that are basically round 1 cards. Why? Because you want them to be eaten by your ghouls later on. So he's playing some big boys here. He's staying within reach. He's staying within striking distance. He could have played a big time spear tip in order to A, gain dominance, and B, take the round. So I'm going to put it completely out of reach. And as you can see, I consumed my Caldwell. As soon as it got threatened, I consumed it. I do not want to play the game where he puts a big boy on the board, plays a big boost, does something crazy, and then steals my Caldwell, and then you know, we're toast. Now, I'm not afraid of the Caldwell being in his graveyard. I just don't want to lose the round. So playing the consume early and trigger, which activates a higher ability on both my other crones, taking away the Caldwell steal and just having the big boy on the board both protects the Caldwell, gets the dominance effect, and puts some of his cards into questionable positions. So we're going to go into round 2 over here. He passed, no big deal. This is perfect for me. Now, this is where it gets a little spooky for me, because if you've ever watched any of my streams or my journey to rank 1, it's that playing Gernichora, I have always preached bleed, bleed, bleed. Now let's take a look at the hand over here again. I have all these really good cards over here. I have Protofletter, both Crones left. I have Geralt, which is essentially the ace in the hole, and I have Cyclops to keep things at bay and remove cards. And I go and make a few adjustments with those bronze cards and really upgrade them by finding Spear Tip and by finding the Wyvern. So far, we're all in good order here. We're all in good shape. And but I'm thinking about it real pretty much what I'm thinking about is like, my mantra has always been bleed, bleed, bleed round 2 against essentially most other decks. Again, even against Woodland, I would bleed until Woodland comes out. Now the difference here is twofold. Number one is because it's a mirror and I want last say, and I want last say because I have, here, I'll pause it here as well. The other thing is I'll have last say and I have Geralt. That's one reason. The other reason is I'm looking at my hand and my deck right now, and I'm looking at the cards I have to play, and it is a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare. The reason being is that I did not find any of my thinning cards, so my 2 Foglets are still in there and my 2 Wild Hunt Riders are still in there. So if I go to a short round, my short round is going to be terrible. So I do not want to go to a short round against a mirror where he's possibly going to beat me by drawing better than me in round 3. So that's another thing that I kept in mind, is the fact that my deck looked like a freaking nightmare. An absolute nightmare. So we're just going to advance a bit over here. And as you can see, I'm really thinking about it. This wasn't me trying to BM. I was really thinking, like, do I bleed? Do I bleed? Okay, I will not bleed because I need last say. Geralt will give you that option. So there's the Frost Dog, which he had in his hand, bricked because, well, not bricked, but it lost potential on it because I was essentially taking away the highest unit from him the entire first round, which made a lot of his cards ineffective. Now, as I'm drawing, there are my thinning plays, which are good. I don't mind keeping the Wild Hunt Rider because that's eight solid points, but this card over here, I didn't have anything besides my Cyclops to get rid of it and to really get any type of effective play on it and to trigger it, so I wasn't going to commit to it. Now, I threw it away for a Plumard. Now, It's a slight upgrade. It's a 2-point upgrade off of the Foglet, but in reality, I mean, I could have triggered it with the Griffin as well, but I want to make sure that I'm not really playing that whole game of relying on other cards. I don't know what he has. This is also just solid point. To me, I was thinking this is my opener. I want to throw down 8 points on as an opener again to deny dominance on a lot of his cards. And as I keep going over here, this might have been a mistake. I think that it might have been okay to hang on to the Foglet here to eat with the Griffin. In retrospect, I probably should have just kept this card, given that it was no points lost on this. But at the same time, the Plumard is perfectly fine as well. The fact that you can play Gernichora and just play a Griffin free and clear is pretty good. So he opens up most likely, and at this point you'll see me nod at one point because I suspected it was the riders that he was holding on to from the beginning. There I go. And I'm just going to essentially match him with, once again, the I think I go Griffin here. So the reason why I'm going Griffin here again, deny that dominance. I know he plays Frost Dogs, he might play more, but I want to make sure that he has to fight to get the top unit on the board, because Proto Flutter still a thing, still something I gotta worry about. So in this case, what am I doing? No problem. Before things get out of hand, before he maybe Cyclopses into this or does some damage to my Griffin, I'm gonna take the opportunity to play my dogs, and I'm a little bit nervous over here. So again, no problem. Once again, he's got top dog on the field again, and I'm getting a little bit nervous about it because I don't like that. At the same time, I'm putting all my creatures, all my my units up here on the front row, so that my Cyclops is essentially making getting in reach of everything. This is an easy play. Play the Wyvern, shave it down. Again, I got top dog. His Proto Flutter, not as good. His Frost Dog, not as good. His you know, anything else that essentially utilizes dominance as a mechanic, not as good. So again, having last say is just wonderful, and that's an okay trade. I know that sucks, but at the same time, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. So this is just a toss away card. Everything else I have is pretty much I'm hanging on to. Like, I'm hanging on to the Crones to deal 4 damage to potentially deal with another Thrive unit. I'm holding on to Proto Flutter to deal with another Thrive unit. You know, so I'm again gonna reestablish the fact that I got top dog and it's no big deal. I'm saving the Plumard, which to me was a little bit weird. Like, why save the Plumard? I'm saving the Plumard in case I want to put it onto something to continue to bleed it down, to make sure that I have top dog. And he's still fighting for dominance here. So we're going to make sure that we do not give it to him. So easy one right now is I could damage it down, but damaging down the 11 makes my Geralt either obsolete or worse. So I'm not playing it in this case. I'm thinking at this point I need to keep dominance. So he's either bluffing that he has dominant cards with dominance, or he's desperate to maintain it. So I'm kind of in a state right now where I'm kind of worried about it, but I'm just gonna bust up my my Spear Tip to 13, and once again, what it does is this kind of bricks his Caldwell. His Caldwell becomes useless because I got top dog. It bricks his Proto Flutter is worse. And that kind of stuff. So here's a good time where I'm just going to throw down some bleeding, probably on a target. I don't want to do it on the Catachan because bringing down a Catachan just makes more units, gives more opportunity for it to thrive back up. So I'm thinking now's not the worst time in the world to just drop the bleed on the Cyclops in the back, because you know, bleeding down a Thrive unit is never the best case. So other option would be, I was thinking, was maybe it's time to chuck my fruit and refresh the fruit, but I think now's the good time to just truck a bleed onto our Cyclops in the back. And again, the whole time I'm thinking that he has a dominant card, but I have last say, and I guess, you know, having that Geralt was a really big bonus for me. But again, he is really looking. Now this is where I kind of like, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. He's not fighting for top dog, but he is looking to deal some damage. So he did boost this to 8, meaning he might have 6 damage in the bank. So he could potentially shave this down. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that back down to where it belongs, around the 5 spot, get some proto flutter value, and now come the ghouls. So there's the griffin that he ate earlier, and he's getting a nice set of triggers off of his thrive units. The bleeds go off. I am still down by 3 points, but I have a really, really good set of units here. And again, that 9 might kind of does scare me, and I don't want to use my other crone just yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and refresh the fruit and toss that there, because that fruit would not have hit a trigger on either of these 2 cards. So I'm tossing out the fruit, no problem, and keeping his units as low as possible, maintaining dominance. Again, I'm still putting him on Caldwell for some reason, Caldwell or Proto Flutter. But here comes the other crone, and this is where I'm a little bit worried. And as you can see, so I'm kind of thinking about it, because he has top dog, and I'm like, what card is this and why is it bothering me? And I have Wispus as a last say, but at the same time, now in this case, there's 2 options. He has Caldwell or he has Proto Flutter. So Proto Flutter is worth 10 points with the dominance that he has, and I'm not entirely sure that I was going to be able to come back. I again, like, when you're in the game, you kind of get a little bit squirrely, and don't know what the hell you're thinking about, and you're really dialed in. So in my head, I'm like, if it's Proto Flutter, I want that card gone so I can maintain the top card with 8. And at the same time, if it's not Proto Flutter, if it's Caldwell, you know, I still will have the dominant card. And I'll be able to shave down his Caldwell and maybe get it back. Anyways, in my head, Proto Flutter was what he had in hand. The entire time I was thinking Proto Flutter. I don't think that I think he would have committed Caldwell a lot sooner, and I think he was fighting to make Proto Flutter his last play. So in my mind, if that's Proto Flutter, I don't want to give it any extra value than it might have. So this is my only opportunity, I think, with all the crones gone and all his boosts potentially gone. I say now's the time to just go ahead and haymaker on the 11-point crone in the back row, get the thrive off of my Gernichora fruit, and suddenly we're up by 7 points, and we're looking good. And ultimately, this is where the surprise is like, oh, it's a ghoul. And I mean, it's still a big ghoul. It's not a big deal. It's still 9 points. I'm down by 4. We're good. Give him the old well played. 3 dots of doom, and then we drop in. And this was our victory to get to rank 1. And a little bit, I just want to walk through the match, because I was very happy about how I played this match, and this is probably one of my better monster matches that I've ever played. So again, mistakes that I could have made was that round 3 mulligan of the fog lid. If I had been paying a little more attention, I could have noted that that the play would have meant just, you know, chucking in the griffin onto it and getting the getting the trigger on it. But ultimately, all is well that ends well on this match. So that's it. That's how you play the mirror, I guess, with monsters. Now, again, like I said, my mantra has always been bleed to succeed, but in the mirror, it's a little bit different, especially when you're holding on to Geralt, and he can get you some big value against those monsters. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope this was a little bit educational for you, and if you do like what you see, you can always give me a subscribe button push over here on the YouTube channel, or go ahead and follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/watchflake, or on Twitter @watchflake. You be kind to one another. I will see you soon. Adios.